Welcome to Affirmation Conversations, your guide to navigating life's twists and turns with resilience and grace. I am excited to introduce our latest episode, Embrace and Evolve, Finding Strength in Change. Change can be a daunting prospect, but it's also an opportunity for growth and transformation. In today's discussion, we'll explore how embracing vulnerability can become a source of strength, propelling us forward on our journey of self-discovery. Joining us today are two individuals who will share their experiences and insights on navigating change with courage and resilience. Through their stories, we'll uncover the power of fostering personal evolution and embracing life's dynamic nature. Throughout our conversation, we'll delve into practical strategies for embracing change, celebrating adaptability, and cultivating a mindset of growth. From facing uncertainty head on to finding strength in vulnerability, our panelists will offer invaluable wisdom to inspire you on your own journey of transformation. So, whether you're in the midst of a major life transition or simply seeking to embrace change with confidence, tune in as we embark on a journey of self discovery and empowerment. With me today is Lauren Carr. Lauren Carr is an accomplished lawyer serving in the United States Army, balancing her career with the joyous responsibilities of being a mother to two wonderful and adorable daughters. Currently stationed in Maryland, her hometown, her journey began in the same state where she was born and raised. I said hometown, but I really meant home state, but you get me. At the age of 17, she embarked on her starting with the prestigious United States Military Academy at West Point. And before I continue, let's give kudos to that. Okay, that's super phenomenal, Lauren. It really
Lifetime ago. Thank you,
it
though.
really is. That's really prestigious. With 16 years of dedicated service as a commissioned officer, Lauren is eagerly anticipating the next phase of her life beyond the military, where she aims to continue serving the American people in a different capacity. Welcome, Lauren.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Marcus Small hails from Norfolk. I practiced that before. Did I do good?
Yeah, you gotta say that right.
Right. Because I really want to just say Norfolk, but I know I'm wrong. Virginia. He is currently serving at Fort Campbell, Kentucky as a legal administrator, also in the Army. A proud graduate of Old Dominion University's class of 2012, he brings a wealth of experience and insight to our discussion. Outside of duty, he finds solace in physical fitness, self-care practices, and cherished moments with loved ones. Welcome, Marcus. All right, say it for me.
Say what?
Norfolk.
Norfolk.
Oh my God. See, y'all just look, Lauren knows because she's from,
Mid-Atlantic, yes.
y'all just took
Norfolk.
out like so many letters and made your own. I think y'all made another letter of the alphabet. It's literally like what, 27 now. All right. To kick off our discussion, let's delve into the concept of vulnerability and its impact on personal growth. How would each of you define vulnerability? And in your view, what role does it play in fostering personal growth? I'll let you go, Lauren.
I think vulnerability is opening yourself up to a level of honesty that is uncomfortable. There's a certain level of honesty that we all can have about ourselves and about our situation, about others, that is comfortable, and you're willing to put that out there. But vulnerability is really going a level below that and getting to the places that don't feel as good, things that challenge you. And sorry, what was the second part of the question?
I really like that answer, actually. I like when you said going a level below the things that don't feel as comfortable. In your view, what role does vulnerability play in fostering personal growth? How do you grow from that vulnerability?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, in order to grow, you definitely have to be willing to go to depths that, are not going to feel good. I think there's a certain amount of growth that you can do when you kind of go to surface levels, but vulnerability really gets at your core and allows you to level up. That's kind of the term I'm using now for personal growth, leveling up. And when you dig into that, there's just so many things you can find. And it's not about judging yourself, but it's about just knowing that there's constant places where you can grow, you can adapt, you can make adjustments.
I love it. How about you, Marcus?
I look at vulnerability more as just openness. Losing sight of ego, sometimes even what you know, opening to that clean slate, not to necessarily say that, hey, I'm gonna take, incorporate, and do everything, but I'm willing to get out of my own for the betterment of myself.
Exactly. I love it. Great answers. So, embracing vulnerability often leads to profound moments of strength and resilience. Can either of you share, or each of you share, a personal experience where you encountered a major life change or transition that challenged you to adapt and evolve? And how did you navigate through that period of change?
Hmm. There have been there have been many. Um, probably the biggest one for me has been the transition to being a single parent. When I had my daughters, I was married, and then transitioned to single parenthood. And um, that's obviously first you're dealing with a situation necessarily that you didn't want to be in. And then you have to figure out, well, what's my life every day going to look like? Very practically, what kind of changes are going to occur? Then you kind of got the other layer that's below that. That's the emotional changes, like how do you feel about the changes that are occurring? And then kind of how do you deal with that strain, that stress, that tension of your new life circumstances? Um, and when you do that, it requires a deep level of vulnerability with yourself. You definitely have to be willing to say, this hurts me, um, or maybe this excites me. Whatever it is for the individual, like you have to be willing to say, like, this is how I feel about this. And once you can tap into those feelings, then you can kind of start dealing with them, but I think it's hard for a lot of us when we go through changes that can be seen as very negative, as actually being willing to tap into the feelings. You normally try to just push them down and keep going. So that was definitely a big transition for me, where I had to really embrace how I'm feeling about the circumstances. How am I going to cope with those changes in everyday life? And how am I going to manage change? Change in my everyday life, and really kind of in the way that I relate to the world.
Thank you, Lauren. That's actually a really good example, and I'm glad that you shared that, because I am so sure that there are so many others who will be watching who have experienced that exact same thing. And I love how you broke it down into layers that people can actually relate to. How about you, Marcus?
One of the most recent that come to mind is probably my session as a warrant officer and legal administrator. You as a non-mission officer, you kind of want to have that, you're trying to be, the best NCO for yourself, for your soldiers, and it's a different role in the army. Assessing as a legal administrator, and first duty station being Fort Drum, New York. Um, Coming off of 3 years of Germany, where I kind of, I like to say, mastered my craft as brigade NCOIC. Well, I'm chartering into new territory. This is the first time I've been able to kind of get an apartment or home. So hey, now you're not in the barracks anymore. You're doing a new job. You think of, um, you know, as
The
well
military is good
as,
for that.
yeah, as
Exactly.
as well as, you're in upstate New York, so you're not, a drive away from family and friends, and it was a lot. I fought it. I fought it in trying to see how can I make it fit to who I am, and versus, after, man, numerous conversations required, and then just accepting that, hey, it is okay. It's okay to, leave a past and step into something new. Um, did the work on myself, like I said, through therapy. But it just started to embrace it instead of fight it. And as I did that, it started to get a little easier, as well as just patience and time. We feel like sometimes we can see things, and day by day, it was about the marathon, the sprint.
Yeah, when changes are happening, I definitely think you have to keep the marathon mentality, because you have to give yourself that grace to adjust to the situation. You have to step back and say, what do I need? Do I need therapy? Do I need time to myself? Do I need to find a way to integrate into my new environment? Like, you have to kind of sit back and really analyze those things, because otherwise you're just gonna, just kind of jump in, maybe start
Definitely.
sinking,
And
you know?
I think success, because success is subjective, we tend to try to mold it how we want, because what is success to me is a little different than you. And I think we often get in situations where if I PCS somewhere, I can't see 2 years from now, but I know in 2 or 3 years I'll be gone, and I try to create what that success is in my mind without even knowing, the battlefield I'm stepping into.
Exactly. No.
And I feel like as you get into that battlefield, thoughts, perspectives, life, because life is still happening.
Yeah.
Everything tends to change, and if you have that vulnerability where you're not so honed in, at the end of 2 or 3 years, you're able to look back and admire where you've come, whether it's may not be perfection, but hey, I'm better than what I was.
Yeah. And you said a lot. So first of all, you just told people to measure your progress over perfection, right? Progress
Definitely.
over perfection. And it's another thing that I always say. It's your measure your gains and not your gaps, right? It's not where you still have to go, but it's where you've gone since you started. I also like how you kind of told people, and I'm from St. Louis, right? So I'm from a big city. But I will tell you, people in my city, they always talk about how they want to leave the city, but they're so afraid. And you sort of just explained that with your move. First of all, your transition from being a non-commissioned officer in the Army to being a warrant officer in the Army, doing a new job. And Lauren knows, even though she's an attorney, every time she switches every 2 years to possibly 3 years, she's not doing the same discipline. Like, she's doing something completely different that she may have to learn altogether. And it's uncomfortable. And where I'm from, people always say they want to leave, but they fear the unknown. And just like you said, they try to fight it as opposed to embracing it and, just sort of taking a chance. Um, and so I like that you shared that you did it, you accepted it, you made it the best, you subjectively figured out what your goals would be, and you made it happen. And then in retrospect, you really did, were able to define your successes. So I would love that. And people from these cities, they're like, oh, we're going to go to Houston, or we're going to go to Atlanta, because, they just want to go to the places that are very similar to the places
Right. That they're from, exactly.
where they're from. So I have another question. So if you all could travel back in time and give your younger self one affirmation, right? It doesn't have to be like a motto or anything, just some sort of positive assurance or something to help you navigate through a challenging period of change. What would it be? You don't even have to tell us what that challenge period of change, but what would you tell yourself?
Um, it, it it'll all work out, um, because I truly believe every plan, is kind of how devoted you are. So, just more so sticking through, weathering weathering any storm, just to see kind of the sunshine on the other side.
I like that.
To go with something like you deserve kindness or something like that, something that kind of gets at the relational aspects of life. Because I know I mean, still now at 37 years old, but even at 17 years old, there was a lot of relational questions that I had about life and a lot of decisions that I made relationally that I think were based on maybe not understanding that I was worthy of receiving the kindness that I gave out. And that, that influences you, but your home of origin always influences how you enter into the world. And so you actually already have these scripts running in your mind when you go into the world that you don't even realize are there, which is probably one of the great things about affirmations, right? Because it's a chance to change the script.
I agree. I will definitely say mine would be a little bit of both of yours. And mine would kind of be like, you are deserving. And that's relationally and otherwise. It's like you are deserving of being in very healthy relationships, whether it's with your parents and other family members, whether it's with a significant other, whether it's with friends, whether it's in the workplace, but also of your dreams. Like you're deserving of the dreams that you had. Now, like Marcus said, you got to be willing to, and you didn't say these exact words, but you said this, like you have to really be willing to put in the work. You can't, nothing is just going to come to you. And
Right.
I think that's where people, kind of give up a little bit. It's kind of, they start off on their journeys and then they realize that when the tough, what they say, when the going gets tough, well, they get going. As the tough gets going, well, no, they get going, and you can't do that. You gotta just kind of keep going. Just measure your progress over perfection, as that is what Marcus said. So
And I think a lot of it is the focus piece of it. You know, the world is full of different, and they tend to be tailored to whatever your distractions may be, because we kind of create our own distractions in a sense. What may distract you wouldn't necessarily distract me, but having the discipline and self-control to kind of always stay focused that's that's what I try to implement to myself of, hey, recognizing when, okay, hey, we're going off the rail a little bit. And it's not necessarily punishing, or getting mad at it, but, having, say, the self-discipline to know, hey, let's take it back this way.
exactly. All right, so let's reflect a little bit on the journey of embracing change and with grace, as Lauren brought up, and strength. Um, so we've all gone through stuff, whether small or big or very significant changes in our life. we all have. I mean, that's kind of just the facts of life. Um, how have you, or what strategies have helped you maintain resilience through the changes that you've gone through in life, Lauren?
For me, it's definitely been keeping my morality and keeping my character in check. No matter what the circumstances are, for me, it's critical that I still operate in my character, because if you get thrown off of your character, you can just end up in a completely different place from where you meant to be. And then when you get to that place, you don't even like who you are because you betrayed who you really are. So, for me, it's always been, regardless of what type of challenge comes my way, like I have to maintain my character in this situation. And obviously there are times when that's harder to do. But
Especially
if
in
you
the
do that,
military.
especially in the
Definitely,
military,
definitely.
especially in relational situations, like, it's very difficult sometimes to maintain your character. But I find that when I do that, it gives me a lot of strength because I have a foundation that I'm able to stand on. And it's a lot more stable for me to keep that constant in the midst of whatever else is changing around me.
I love that. That's actually super sound advice. Not just coming from you as an attorney, coming from you as a woman.
Right.
That's
I won't bill you for
Mhm.
that, by the way.
right. Look, well, within our first 30 minutes, this consultation should be free.
Right. It is.
Marcus?
Me, I find myself trying to associate a why. And the why doesn't even have to like be valid or make, sense to everyone. But, because like I said, some things are fillers. Hey, this is the, buy time. This is to get, but, understand, putting a why behind it. And I feel like it gives it a little purpose, even if there's like no purpose is perfect, in my opinion. Because then I know kind of how long to sit there. If we're talking about something that I'm really not giving much purpose to, well, understanding that, hey, once a level of energy is exerted, well, we need to put a why to that. Because, if the grand scheme of this is not that big and I'm giving it way more intent or attention than it deserves, then, that's me looking inside of me, and being able to be honest with myself. So that's usually how I try to attack
Okay, I have a question that I didn't even know that I was actually going to ask.
it.
So there's this concept that I have talked about a couple times with you know some of my mentors, right? And it's the concept of having like a council. And we always talk about who's on your council, and it's basically just like a group of trusted people in your life. And it's actually very appropriate for this conversation because we're talking about embracing change. So you don't have to exactly name names. You can name positions if you want. But I'm curious to know, when you are going through the biggest changes in your life, who would be some of those people that would actually be sitting on your council, who you can confide in and you can trust, and to trust to be there to kind of help you get through it.
Well, for me, I definitely have several mentors that are retired military, like people that are out, so they don't have to speak the party line. They can tell me the truth. They can tell me what happened with them. And I find that the type of candor they can give me, and the perspective that they can give me as those who are no longer kind of within the community, but kind of adjacent to it, helps me a lot when it comes to professional things. And then, of course, there are people that if they have subject matter expertise, I like to go to them. If I know they've been in a position that I'm interested in, I like to go to them so I can get that firsthand knowledge. So professionally, I feel like I go towards folks who have already been there, and then I'm like, tell me about what it was like when you were there. Um, from a personal perspective, I mean, I keep my circle small. I have, a
Same
few
girl.
trusted girlfriends, right? The older you get, like the smaller your circle gets. I feel like you kind of tailor it to what's happened in life and how you guys have been there for each other and stuff like that. So, I have a small group of friends. I have a large family, but only maybe certain members of my family that I might talk to about certain things, that I feel like they could understand and they could relate to me on that. So really, I'm not a person about having a large council. I like to have one or two trusted advisors on an issue, and between the three of us, I feel like we can get it done.
I love that. I know I used to say, my circle is becoming so small at this point, it's almost a dot. Right, it's almost just me at this point. I mean, it's not. It's not, but as I'm getting older, like you said, Lauren, the older you get, you realize like, everybody who is around you ain't really for you. So, you start to weed those people out. So how about you, Marcus?
Similar. Um, tell people how individuals for depend. It's the individuals. They're tailored to the specific circumstance. And that's like I said, professionally. Um, I like to keep the yin and the yang, where I know I reach out to one person who I know, thinks more this way, then I'll reach out to another person that I know, thinks more of the other way. Because people, I'm big on owning the final decision. So I'm not big on leaning on people too much because whatever decision I do make, I want to live with that. Even if you told me the exact direction and I didn't do it, I may be wrong, but I'm okay with it because I made the decision, for whatever reason. So professionally, that's kind of how I look at it, because I think, everyone is attacking their professional goals a little differently. So I kind of monitor that. Um, on the personal side, I have a lot of females in my family, and yeah, women. I'm sorry.
Right. Female.
Um, yeah, black to be exact, and
So,
nothing is better than it. Keep me honest, and that's what I like. Even having the conversations that I don't want to have, or if it's running away, okay, well, I'll be right back here. So most of the time, like I said, I lean heavy on bouncing stuff off my sisters.
Well,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I have brothers too, but for the most part, I tend to lean. I tend to seek the women in my life.
they offer probably a counter perspective.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. And most of the time, it involves some type of feeling that I probably left out of it, as far as throwing emotions in it. Because like I say, very kind of logical person. So that tends to balance that out in the sense of, hey, it's not always this. I mean, but that's what you said, you know. So that's kind of my
I like
circle.
That's the council,
Yeah, counsel. Yes.
that.
the sister council. I like that. I wish I
Mhm.
had sisters because I feel like they would be
Oh,
like a
that would be,
squad.
yeah.
Like it would be
Mhm.
I
great.
have one sister, but I am actually 10 years older than her. So I'm on her council. I wouldn't exactly say
Right.
that she is on mine, but I'm definitely her counsel for sure. Absolutely. I better be on her counsel. She better call me or we gonna have a fight.
Right.
um so change often challenges us to adapt and evolve, right? So what strategies would you recommend for cultivating adaptability in the face of change? I know you both would have some because in the military we have to be adaptable. So how would you help others who could be watching um, sort of be better at it?
Um,
And I probably,
so that-
oh, I was just gonna say, first step is probably identify your goals. Um, because sometimes we get so overwhelmed by what the changes are, we just start moving. We start moving before we've even realized what the issue is. So I think you have to identify the issues and identify your goals. And from there, then you're kind of able to start taking steps. Sometimes life is just overwhelming, especially when you're in periods of transition and change. There's a lot coming at you at one time. And if you get just focused on what's happening and you haven't sat down and identified yourself, well, what do I want out of this? Or what change is causing me a problem? You can't actually get to solving it until you've, kind of slowed down and done that initial analysis. I know I'm going through a period of that right now. Like I have a lot of changes that are kind of going on, and I'm not really focusing on what the problem is and what my desired outcome is. So I'm kind of still spinning. And oddly enough, I'm doing this very aware that I'm doing it. But it's because of how challenging it can be sometimes to embrace change and move forward in a direction, and I acknowledge that. Because again, progress, not perfection, right?
Exactly. How about you, Marcus?
I agree. I'll tell individuals, embrace being a student and learning in these new situations. And what Ma'am said, understand what you're trying to get out of it, but be open to information. But I say not information overload. You know, because oftentimes there are things that you aren't aware of. There are things outside of your control, and you make the best informed decision with what you have. And I found that when you put the proper preparation into something, you're able to live with a decision better than, making a decision and knowing information was at your hand that you just didn't, do your due diligence.
Absolutely.
I love that. Exactly. Don't go in blind.
Right,
For
right.
sure. All right. Well, I have a rapid fire question for you all. So you have to share the first thing that
Okay.
comes to mind when I say this. Okay.
Okay. I'm scared.
Okay. So embracing change feels like what?
Born 2.0. Like it just feels like it's just a new version. I'm just adding on, like I'm still me, but I'm just adding another aspect. I'm just improving the original blueprint.
I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I would say similar. Embracing change to me means more in the toolkit. And I'm all about, hey, in the toolkit, because you can always go back in it, so embracing change to me is, opening up that toolkit for more to go
I love it. Both of you all had great answers. I do not like to be asked things like on a whim like that.
inside. Yeah.
Come back to me.
Right.
Both
Right.
super great
Like you go
answers.
first.
Right, you go first, Marcus. So we know affirmations, they have the power to shape our mindset and our perspective. How do you believe that affirmations can assist individuals in navigating through life's inevitable changes?
Um, I believe you speak things into existence, and it starts, with what you believe. If you believe you are enough, it will project outside through your actions, through your words. Your thoughts will resemble that, confidence of I am enough. So, I think it all starts with, you know, within, and being honest. If it really isn't something that, you believe, or that level to level, you have to be honest with yourself in that, hey, I'll get there. Instead of rushing a process of affirmation. Hey, if you need to tell yourself for 6 months that why you're taking the steps to get there, like I said, I believe in the power of words. But you have to believe it before, any external, um, kind of thing can,
Validation.
yeah. But it has to be within you, because I believe you have the power to combat that external, or, I don't call it validation, because if it's not right, then you're not validating anything. But that criticism, or so like, I'm huge on, hey, yes, it can be true, but you believe it for yourself before you try to convince the masses.
Love that. How about you, Lauren?
Are a mirror. Um, if I can say I love me. I think I'm smart and beautiful and kind. If I can say that, then I know I don't have an issue there. But if I fix my lips to say I'm smart, but I just don't want to say it. I just don't feel good about that. It's telling me something about myself. And
Mm-hmm.
now I can have that self conversation of why don't I think I'm smart?
Mm-hmm.
What is it about my life that has caused me to believe that? Is it real, or is it something I created? So it kind of gives you an opportunity to examine negative self-talk and negative perceptions that you've come up with about yourself. Um, and then you can do that internal work either with yourself or with a therapist or with someone you trust. So it kind of it gives you that way of assessing what are my beliefs, you know
Yeah.
um because I know that's why I've struggled with affirmation sometimes, because sometimes I try to say something and I'm just like, this doesn't really fit me. And then I end up going back more so and evaluating, why do I feel like it's not a good fit?
Mm-hmm.
What is more real for me? Do I need to work on this? And I actually, once I've gone through that process, I kind of don't feel like I need to necessarily say the words anymore, because now I believe them.
Yes. I am definitely sometimes like, if you have ever seen, Issa Rae, right? In the show, I'm having a brain cramp.
Secure.
Insecure. Yes. Like that is
Such a
so
mess in that
me.
show.
Yeah.
My goodness, like I am her in the mirror. Maybe like with less curse words for sure. But
Right.
I mean,
Be
sometimes I'm in
aggressive.
that mirror and I'm like, girl, you are that B. You know what I mean? And then sometimes I'm like, girl, like, what are you thinking about? Like, you cannot do this. Like, you are out of your mind. You are, like, it is so crazy. But you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. Sometimes it's like, it does give you the opportunity to, when you are having negative self talk, to recognize that and to ask yourself, okay, like, why are you saying this to yourself and why are you doubting yourself? And then you kind of get to unpack it, right? You get to
Right.
unpack it, and you really get to combat it. You get to combat it. If you find that as a weakness, you really can figure out how to turn your weakness into a strength, how to defeat that negative self-talk. So, but girl, I
I
definitely
find
find
that
myself
interesting.
in that. I'm telling you, I'm
I
like, oh
find
my God, I'm in that mirror all the time. It is so crazy.
I find that interesting because as I sit and listen to both of you, I think for myself, I find the self affirmation more so in the physical realm of things. Um, Even not the physical, and then I would say professional.
Hmm.
Personal kind of gets the tail end with me. Like I said, whether it's not with me, it's not ever to compete with
Other people.
other people's egos and things. It's
Mhm.
it's a it's a thing where, hey, we just spoke of me completing aerosol. Well, the only reason I went is because, hey, you're physically able.
That's
The
awesome.
the only reason you wouldn't get through there is because of your
Yeah,
mind, not
that's
any
right.
physical ability.
That's right.
So, those are the things I tell myself of, hey, well, now you're here. When that mind starts to play in tricks,
Hmm.
you know, your body's aching, whatever the case may be. Hey, that's the price.
Hmm.
That's that's not
Yeah.
necessarily a bad thing. Everything costs.
Yeah.
That's the price. Even down to when we go professionally, the tasks we kind of get, you know all too well, Jessica, that, every task we don't know how we gonna solve it.
Hmm.
You don't. But somehow it has been pawned off to you. You know,
Yeah.
and you take that first step, and your hope is that that first step leads you to a ray of sunshine. But that's
Right.
not always the case.
The victory.
You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah.
always the case. So I find myself giving those, hey, when you're frustrated, people aren't helping you. Hey man, that's more so you got a job to do. Nothing about this is personal. So hey, if I gotta call this person again, it's not in my mind of, oh, well, I just called this and that. I
Yeah.
tend to remove the personal aspect out of it, and hey man, you have a job to do.
Yeah. And
So yeah,
I
good.
just had this conversation too, and so I just wanted to bring it up here. And some people are incredibly embarrassed and afraid of failure, but life is all about growth, and there's growth in failure. If you
Yes.
fail, you will grow from that because you've tried something, you realize it didn't work, and guess what it tells you to do? Try something else. So never be afraid to fail. The worst mistake that you can make is to not try at all. That's what I tell my daughter. That's what I tell my friends. That's what I tell my nieces and my nephews. That's what I tell, people who work with me or for me. There's growth in failure. I have never been afraid to tackle anything professionally or personally because I am not afraid to fail. because I'm the type of person, I'm very resilient, I am very adaptable, and I'm very motivated. Right now, at this moment, I'm very tired. and it's because of all of those things. But I'm not afraid
Yes.
to fail. I'm not afraid to fail
Right.
because there's growth,
It's hard to teach that. That's what I've
it
that's
is.
what I've come to learn. You can't really teach effort.
Yeah, you're right.
Um, and it's not a bad thing. It's not, I take pride, and I tell my junior all the time of accepting people for who they are.
Hmm.
Not,
Life
not,
lesson.
yeah,
Hey,
not,
that's
not,
right.
not
I can't
pushing
snap. I'm
back
not a really
on
good
them.
snapper, but if I
Yeah,
could, I
like,
definitely can't snap those
and being okay with it,
Yeah,
because your personality and who you are has no real effect on my personality and who I am.
eggs. I,
We have to deal with each other because of work.
mhm.
How you choose to deal with me isn't really my, concern.
Exactly.
I choose to deal with you is
Mhm.
100% my concern,
Exactly.
in the realm of what we deal with. Because
Exactly.
you know all too well, I teach her, it's important to learn your people, because when someone comes to that door, you already have a million things you want.
Hmm.
Some people only come to take, and
Yep.
and that's okay. That's okay, but you have to not allow penetration. Hey,
Hmm.
I'm not gonna turn you away, but
Right.
yeah, once you try to penetrate, this wall, no, it's not gonna happen. I take
Exactly.
whatever you need, and hey, let's put it here. Some people come to pour into you.
That's
Know
right.
who those people are. you,
And
you,
that's in
you
all
know,
aspects.
yeah,
I'm glad you brought that up,
definitely.
personally and professionally. And I had that conversation not too long ago, and I always have to tell people, and some people, and maybe at one point at a time in my life, I too was a people pleaser. I too just wanted to pour into others who never poured into me, and my cup was empty. My cup was so dry, child. I'm telling you. I mean, I could have probably blew into it, and it could have sang a song, and it's
Just dust.
dust, girl. Not anymore. Not anymore. I mean, I'm only pouring into those that pour into me. It's reciprocal relationships at this point, and that is personally and professionally. So I agree, and that is part of
Look
my
at it like that.
embracing change. Embracing change for me now is
Because,
embracing
yeah,
relationship changes as well. So I'm glad that you brought that up,
I
Marcus. You're
don't, I don't, I don't
don't let
look at it as being reciprocal, because being reciprocal means you have a little control over me. Because if you don't pour into me, I'm not gonna pour into you. No, you know what I mean. Like I said, if I move to do something, it's with the purest intentions. I live with that, But
but
I'm
something's
not.
being poured into you though.
Oh, but no, that's what I'm
You're
saying.
getting
Like,
joy from doing it. So they
so.
they themselves might not be pouring into you. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, 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 yeah. I got you.
So
I
like
got
when
you.
I do something for others, I'm still getting something reciprocated, right? It's still a
Okay.
joy. They might
Yeah.
not be like paying me for it. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right, right, right,
But
right.
but
Okay.
that reciprocal may be joy. It may be another blessing. I'm a heavy person of faith, so God may be blessing me with something else. So that's what I mean. Like
I
I
got
don't
you,
want to
got
do
you, got you.
anything to where there's no reciprocation on the other side, just completely empty.
Even, yeah,
That's so
even
yeah,
if it's self, because
exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
not, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of, like, I had a buddy that I used to tell when we were going to boards, hey, you can't get past a board because first sergeant is sitting on it, and he knows what to say to you to get you thrown off in the very beginning.
Mm,
Yeah.
You have to be in full control. That
that's
doesn't mean,
right.
and you spoke on it earlier, man, of
I
more
love
so
how he
not
said your name.
losing it,
I
not
So
know.
losing.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm
super
sorry.
professional.
It's all good. My name
Nah,
is right down there at the bottom of the screen. Lauren.
nah, it ain't even. It's not even in that. Trust me. Trust
Okay.
me, it's
Marcus,
not.
we all like the same age. What capacity is it in?
Right.
No,
Right. I'm like, am I the
professionalism and that.
senior?
No,
I
no,
No,
can't
I'm
no.
see.
38. You're
That
37.
that professional. Well, I'm about to be 30. What I be this? So
Okay.
We
we
all the same age. You don't need to be
no
mamming me right now. Thank you.
no
Ooh, make me feel old.
no.
I'm either
Look,
ma'am or mom all the
look,
time,
Why
and
do
I
you
would just like to
shout?
be
I'm glad I'm
annoying for
retired.
5
I am not ma'am
minutes.
at all.
no, it's not.
Nope.
I promise you,
Okay.
it's with all love and respect.
Right. So
Not
we gonna call
professional.
me Lauren for the last few minutes, though. That's what
We
we're
Right.
gonna
we
do.
say less, say less. But
Okay.
no,
Thank
Say
you.
less
you know,
Lauren.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I like, yeah. Once you own and accept, you are in control.
Yep.
Every
Yeah.
situation,
No.
you are in control. Do we have lapse of judgment? Sometimes,
Yes.
you
Mhm.
know.
I'm so many.
Yeah,
Right.
but I don't condone to the concept of you made me, or anything that tries to push the responsibility of a decision I made as a grown adult to somebody else.
Yep.
Accountability is
Yeah.
definitely key,
Yeah.
and I mean, if you're doing affirmations, if you're doing self-work, if you're in therapy, you're probably pretty good at accountability because you have that internal desire to improve yourself
Yes.
and to hold yourself accountable for your shortcomings, and also give yourself your props for, your the things that you're doing well,
Well,
but I mean, we have to acknowledge that there are a lot of people that are not good at that. They're not there on their journey. They're not comfortable with going that deep with you. And, you can give yourself affirmations, but then I think that's also where, your counsel, right, comes into play because those folks should be able to affirm you as well because
yeah.
they should be able to see you. They should be able to be vulnerable with you. Your counsel should be able to say to you, you know what, you messed up in that situation. I love you, but you shouldn't have done that.
Right, right,
So
right.
y'all can be in agreement,
Yeah.
right? That hey, that was
Absolutely.
not ideal.
Absolutely.
And do
Yeah.
I don't think we speak on, the demons that exist in our profession that people deal with on a daily. Once
Mhm.
once you really understand that, me for myself, I've gotten down, in understanding that rage wasn't really towards you.
Yeah.
Some
So big of
people
you.
just but no, like you said, man, some people just, if you really have not done the work on yourself, hurt people. And again,
Yes.
I'm big on putting up that shield
Mm-hmm.
to acknowledge that, okay, you're projecting. I don't take
Exactly.
it personal. I don't take it personal. You
Exactly.
know, in our profession, individuals project
A lot.
a
They have a
lot.
lot of stress on them, especially when it comes to just trying to. I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with the rating system and promotions and future assignments. And they are trying to compete with a whole group of other people in this pool. And that's really a lot where that projection come from. It's this idea that they have to be perfect in order to compete, and
Right.
it's discomforting. It provides this discomfort for them, and so that kind of takes me to my next question, which is about discomfort as a catalyst for growth. And I know we have
Nice.
all been there,
Yes.
personally as well as professionally. So how do you view the importance of embracing discomfort, and how does discomfort, what role does it play in fostering personal growth and development? Some people are not comfortable with being uncomfortable.
They're not. I think the sooner that you realize it is a part of life that you cannot avoid, the better. I remember as a young person right out of college, 21 years old, thinking if I do everything right, everything's gonna go right. And life went ahead and smacked me upside the head. And I learned that you can do things right and life is still going to happen to you. There's going to be less than ideal situations. There's going to be periods that are, they're not doing anything for you, but it's just something you got to go through. There's always going to be those challenges, and you have to be willing to say, okay, this is part of the human experience. This is what everyone faces. And I'm going to have to be okay with it, because it's gonna happen regardless.
Yep.
So it's a matter of how do I respond to it, because it's not going to change, right? If you go to that place for that job for those 2 years, and you know you don't want to be in that place, well, you're gonna be there for 2 years. So how are you gonna deal with it?
Mhm.
Um, all those kinds of things. You have to really be able to say, you know what, I'm gonna acknowledge that this is what this is, and I'm gonna move through it.
Yeah.
And it's hard sometimes. It's really hard. Sometimes you
Yeah,
need to sit there and
not
cry
easy.
over
Never
it.
easy. Yeah,
Ooh, let me tell you,
it's never easy.
and this is funny because Marcus, when he was talking about going to upstate and he kind of fought it, and you talking about sitting there and crying. Okay, so I'm from St. Louis, but I got orders to go to Fort Leonard Wood, right? Child, let me tell you. Let me tell you. So my husband and I, we PCS there. I came from Bragg there, and my husband came from Korea. And so we drove up there. We're like, okay, let's go to Springfield. We're gonna go to the mall. Child, first of all, the mall wasn't even the mall. We literally sat in that parking lot, and we were like, so we were in disbelief to where we laughed until we like cried. It was so weird. And I was like, why did they send me here? Like, I know they didn't think they were going to do me a favor because it was close to home, because it's like 2 hours away. And this is not like home, at all, period. But I will say, it, I just really didn't want to be there. But talking about making the most of it, like you just mentioned, it was probably one of my most favorite, like top three. And I've had like 11 or 12 duty assignments. It was top three after the fact because I made the most of it. I found things within that organization that had been issues for decades, right? And I fixed them. I set my goals, like you talked about, Lauren, earlier. I set some goals there. I accomplished the goals, which is a very civilian heavy organization. And if you can accomplish goals in a civilian organization for issues that's been there for decades, that's a win, right?
Yes, it
And
is.
I'm
Yes,
telling
it
you,
is.
it was all about relationships and improving, the processes. So I kind of just found a way to adapt, right? We talked about that here. We're having this conversation on embracing change. We're talking about being vulnerable. We're talking about adaptability. We're talking about resilience. All that stuff plays into for any soldier, or I would say any person going into a new job, moving a new location, but definitely when it comes to soldiering, because you move so much and everything is foreign to you every time. But all those things I experienced there, and I'm telling you, when I left there, I was actually very sad. I was sad the day I got there, but I was sad the day I left because it became like a part of me, and I mean, I still miss that part of my army journey to this day, because I was able to make such an impact that was reciprocated, like the joy, I got position upgrades for people from fives or sevens to nines. You know how big of a
It's a
deal
big
that
deal.
is?
It's a lot
I
of
mean,
money.
facility
Wow.
upgrades. I mean, it was just so many things. And I mean, that that was just like such a win to me. But I'm telling you, I'm like, why in the world did they, when they say Fort Lost in the Woods, they weren't lying. There was nothing there at all.
Funny though, Jessica, because as you were saying, like, St. Louis is 2 hours away, right? I remember being at Fort Leonard Wood because before I was a JAG officer, I was a military police officer.
Oh,
So that's where we do our basic
yep,
training.
exactly.
That's where we have our
Awesome.
officer course.
Hmm.
And I remember meeting people in St. Robert outside of Pose that
Yes.
had never been to St. Louis.
Oh my
Because
goodness.
to them, that was out of their comfort zone,
Right.
So
Wow.
it's just funny to think, like what is uncomfortable for you and what's causing you to do this incredible shift is not going to be the same challenge that the next person has. And Marcus, I think you mentioned that early on, right?
He
Our
did.
challenges and the things that distract us and the things that cause issues for us are different based off of who we are as people, and
Mhm.
so that's just kind of another good reason to get other people to affirm you, because their different perspectives can
Yes.
help you see something that you don't see because of your background, your experiences. And I think definitely that's the value of not just standing in the mirror and giving your affirmations, but allowing the people around you to affirm you, if they're safe,
Yeah,
because then they can help you have that perspective.
that's right. Marcus with his woman's counsel, because he's like, no, my brothers probably think exactly like me, so I
Right.
need some
Nah,
unbiased opinions.
well, I look at it more so, men gonna do what men the
Mhm.
end of the day.
Yeah,
We
we know.
know.
Because this is the thing for especially my personal, what I do, oh, ego is 100%.
Mhm.
Professionally, ego is not in it.
Yeah,
I don't own the army. I ain't gonna get
yeah,
a percentage of that.
yeah,
But as far as, the household I reside in, the moves I take as a man outside, oh, that's 100%. So, you as another male, I hear stuff and I take it with a grain of salt. The
yeah,
woman council, oh, they throw darts, and
yeah,
but it's not, it's I I like people who I can't fool. You're
yeah,
not fooling me. You know
right.
what I mean? I
Yeah,
know you. And those are the people I like talking because, words can be very persuasive.
yes.
But if an individual knows your actions,
Hmm.
I hear what you're saying, but I ain't trying to hear all that.
I could definitely say my husband probably would absolutely agree with you. I'm trying to count in my head and I can't exactly, but he's one of 12. And so I think he has um maybe five brothers and six sisters.
Mhm.
And I can just me knowing their personalities, I can definitely say the brothers are gonna brother, but the sisters are gonna sister. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, my
So
mother was one of 11. So yeah,
oh
that
wow,
holds
yeah.
true.
My mom is
Mhm.
like one of 15 or something. So
Mm.
and now I'm looking at my uncles like, yep, the uncles is gonna uncle, but the aunties is gonna auntie, right? so
Yeah.
so I get you, Marcus. It makes
Mhm.
total sense now. For real.
Yeah.
So okay. So incorporating affirmations into our daily routine can be a powerful way to promote personal evolution. We just talked a lot about it, whether you're doing it intentionally or not, whether your affirmations are more focused on the mind, the spirit, the body. Marcus, the body.
Yeah.
First of all, Marcus, once you get closer to your 20, your body affirmations is gonna be real, real different. You're gonna be talking to them knees, you're gonna be talking to them shoulders.
Nah, nah,
My niece was in revolt this week, real talk. I was
nah.
like, this
That's
is
that's the misconception. I love that about every OSJ I go to. If it's a run day, catch me with the 16s.
Oh, that's good.
During the ACFT, all right. Let me
You'll
let me
fit
brush off this 13.
okay.
Run that. And then I'm going back. You can't.
Yeah.
Chief, we saw you run. Nah. So I only pull that out when it's time to put it on
I'm with
blast.
you. Pace yourself.
Once it get now, if my body, hey, says, oh, it feels good, I do it. But again, we spoke early. I can't.
Yeah.
Egos know. I can't do it. So I have no issue stopping on anything I want to do. I'm gonna walk and I wish you would say something to me. You know.
I know
So
that's
yeah, I'm because a little off topic, but my end goal is, more so when I do get out, I want to be able to move, preferably jog 5 miles at the beginning of the day and go on with my day.
that's amazing.
Like at my home in Virginia, it's like a nice little long street that I see older people walk on, and driving to work, I used to love.
Yeah.
You're talking clearly 60 and 70 just not moving, and that's what I aspire to be.
I love that you're taking it easy because I'm trying to embrace the change of my body. And a wise man once told me at my first duty station as a warrant officer, which was Fort Bragg, to take it easy. And I didn't, because it wasn't an ego thing, but it was kind of trying to keep up with the pace of everyone else. And that culture was like 2 a day. Like we did PT in the morning, and then we all pretty much did, we worked out at lunch, and we did ruck marches, which to me is crazy. And we did long runs, and then we did things like CrossFit, and people who taught us CrossFit weren't CrossFit trained. We did like all this crazy stuff. And now I barely can walk up the stairs, like I
Right.
barely can walk. My shoulders are, both of them, totally jacked up. By the end of my military career, I had permanent profiles for bilateral shoulder injuries and bilateral knee injuries. The only thing I could do for this, what is it, sixth event ACFT, was walk, period. That's it. So the body that I thought I was going to be retiring with, not the body that I retired with. The capabilities that I thought I would have, I did not have those capabilities. So I am definitely glad that you're saying that, you definitely just take it easy. So for sure. So I would ask, what tips or practices do you recommend for effectively incorporating affirmations into your daily life? How do you all sort of do that routinely, whether you do it with intention or not? Like for me, I wake up in the morning, and as soon as I sit up in my bed, I'm basically at the ceiling, I'm stretching, thank you, God, right? That's the first thing. And then I'm sort of doing my affirmations. Like I'm sort of yelling them, unless my husband is sleeping, then I'm not so much yelling them. I might be in the mirror in the bathroom, but that's kind of me.
I think that's great. I honestly have not done really well with keeping up with my affirmations, and I thought about it in preparation for this session as to why. It's because normally I try to attach an affirmation to a new behavior.
Oh, I like that.
And so if that new behavior is not a habit and I'm attaching the affirmation to it, when the behavior falls off, so does the
Oh, it's
affirmation.
affirmation. Okay.
So I feel like if you are interested in affirmations and you want to do them, don't attach it to something new that you're going to start now. Like do it with something that you already do. Like I commute every day. Like if I really want to get on my affirmation game, I probably need to do it in the car.
Yes.
Because that's a part of my day I cannot avoid. It's the only time I'm by myself. So it's definitely, a key time. But I remember before trying to get up in the mirror when I woke up in the morning and say the affirmations. And I was like, I don't do this. I'm running around getting kids together. It doesn't work for me. So I think the key for affirmations is really to look for something that's already part of your life, already part of your routine, and fit it in where it's natural. You don't have to do what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, I definitely like the car, because you get in the car and you're like, okay, no matter what today brings, throws at me or brings to me, I got this, I can do this, I'm strong, I am capable. No weapon formed against me shall prosper.
Amen.
Look, I ain't no killer, but don't push me, because
Right.
Honestly,
hood, half holy, okay?
Girl, exactly. Like I'm telling you, I don't know what, but that is one of like if you ask me what is my top 10 affirmations, I have no idea why, but that is like one of my affirmations. Like it is so crazy. Like I ain't no killer, but don't push me is one of my top 10 affirmations. It's so funny. And I use that sometimes, like even in my job. Like we don't have like at my job, we don't really have like supervisors. We have what's called advisors, and the advisors kind of like advocate for you to basically the CEO, because there's nobody between you and the CEO except for your advisor. So like when I am like in a pissy mood, I guess you could say, which is very, very rare because I don't let people take me there, but on occasion I am. And I will have to, I will tell her, I'll be like, I'll be talking about a situation to her, and I'll be like, I ain't a killer, but don't push me, whatever. And I'm like, I can't believe I just said that, but I don't care, because I'm a civilian now and I can feel the way I want to feel, and I feel comfortable expressing it. You know what I mean?
And that's great.
Yes, so that's kind of how I do my affirmations. They are not regimented or intentional, but they are in my regiment. You know what I mean? Like I start my day with them throughout the day, as I attack things that may be hard for me, or as I attack new things. I'm just affirming my way through them. I'm just talking my way through them. I'm just reassuring myself that I can do this, that I got this, that it's not too hard for me, that I'm going to make it through it. You know what I mean? So I will definitely tell you, Lauren. Um, I know you said that you kind of fell off, but just wake up. You waking up, doing your hair, putting your little army bun or whatever you're doing to your hair in the morning. Just like I'm beautiful. You know what I mean? Like I got
Right,
this. You getting those two
right.
little babies ready to get off in the morning.
So
You're
they
like,
can
I'm
run in and
right.
say
I got
something
this.
crazy
I'm a
to
good
me.
mom. Like I'm a great multitasker. I mean, just affirm all those things because
Right.
it's a lot of stress every day that we're going throughout the whole day, and just talk yourself through them. Just speak that positivity into yourself. How about you,
Yeah.
Marcus?
Um, mine's gonna start in the morning. So one of the I feed me first. So I'm in the gym at 4:30. Um, I like
You still
that.
even wake up that early.
No, it's the atmosphere of it. First of all, if you're in there early, you're not in there to talk. You're not in there to
Yeah,
play. So the just the aura in there is a more hey, you made a deliberate decision to get in here.
I like that.
And that guides my day because I try my hardest. If it's negative, don't bring it into the next day. If
Yes.
I wake up and I'm feeding me and I can't get through my workout, well, first and foremost, we have to address that. And I'm not saying, oh, I got to be right, but it has to get out because in me feeding myself couldn't because of this
Mhm.
so I take it that way and that's not often, but more times than not, when I'm leaving, that's when I get that, you know, self affirmation, arriving to PT, knowing, hey,
You already done worked out, first of all.
well,
Right.
not even that. It's just I'm not out here to prove anything. Hey, if I can help, that's what I'm doing. If you don't want me to help, I'm still okay with that. But
That's
that
okay.
light is glowing so much at PT. And then, 9 o'clock, the biggest is prayer before you walk in.
Oh
You,
God.
you gotta have that before you walk in. Because
Tell
Yeah.
you
me
don't you don't
about
you
it.
don't know what
I
you're about to walk into.
remember
Yeah.
those army
That's
prayers.
that's usually and what guides that is, that workout, how
Yeah.
you got through PT, getting ready in the morning, and it just comes. Like I told one of the civilians, I said, hey, the message for June is, the 3 Ps. I said, well, in June, we're going to focus on uh, prayer, preparation, and the biggest is patience because we want things to happen so fast. So throughout June, hey, that's going to be the focus. But it's just whatever I'm moved at that morning, and it always ends with, let the day be the greatest day for everyone. Get
Like,
out and hey, understand that hey, when you walk through that door, that armor is gonna be penetrated. It's
yeah.
gonna be they're gonna take, but you're good.
Yeah.
You're good. And then when you do get in, or when I do get in, it's about and in drum, I had something above my door every day that I walked in that said like, "Did you give your all?" Because that's all we can do. I'm in control of this, and it's like, yeah,
Yes.
hey, did you?
Yes.
And if you did,
I love that. I love that. Well,
I was just gonna say real quick,
no,
Jessica. I
yeah, of
think
course. Go
that's
ahead, Marcus.
great. I love that, but the thing that like it almost triggered me. I was like, oh, he got so much free time.
oh
So
yeah,
you got so
well,
much time to yourself.
for the
And I
time being, for
thought
the time
and
being, but no,
I thought,
yeah, it is a lot of free
okay,
time.
what do we do when we don't have time for ourselves? Because I know that that's the phase of life that I'm in.
Yeah.
I don't have much time to myself, right? My
Mhm.
aunt is here to take care of the kids while I'm on this
Oh,
with
that's
you guys
nice.
because otherwise it would be, they would have come in 10 times already. Yes, for no reason.
That is,
Oh, that's
The camera
awesome.
and everything.
that
And
is
so I
very,
was thinking, like,
yeah.
how can you kind of affirm yourself in ways where you don't need to give yourself time that you don't have?
Yeah.
And one of the things I thought of is I wear my class ring sometimes. I
Oh,
pull
that's
out,
awesome.
the West Point class ring. Like some people wear theirs every day, most of us don't,
Absolutely.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I know I'm about to go into some stuff, like,
Mm-hmm.
when I would go into trial, when I knew I had, a big day coming up, when I go to an event where I want to make a really good impression, I
Yeah,
put it on. And the reason I put it on is because when I look at it, I say, you've done harder things than this. And that's an
exactly.
affirmation that I give myself regularly. And looking at the physical ring on my hand reminds me you've done harder things than this. And so I'm thinking, for those that maybe don't have as much time, maybe there's something tangible that you can hold
Yeah,
on to that kind of reminds you of who you are, what you need, what you want, what you can accomplish. And then you kind of have that to take with you.
I love that, Lauren.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And actually, on our website www.idoaffirm.com, we actually sell $5 affirmation bracelets. We have 27 different ones. And Marcus,
Yes, and I own them.
can you stand up just a little bit to show your shirt? Because this shirt is also, there we go. This shirt is also on the website, and all of those 27 affirmations are also on the bracelet. So if you want something tangible and
There
you
you
don't want
go.
to go to 4 years of West Point to get that ring, you can go on that
Not
website.
recommended. Not recommended.
Look, girl, child. I mean, that is honestly, I am not, when people would always be like, oh, I'm a West Pointer, I'm a West Pointer. I did not care, right? I didn't care only because I wanted them to not use that as like their first thing in the
Peace.
office. But I will
Mm-hmm.
definitely say to you, my black sister, I am so impressed by that because I know of that journey. I know of a lot of, not a lot, but I know some others, and I've talked to them about their journeys. Ebony Thomas being one, and a few other Black women as well,
Hi, Ebony.
and other women who are not, non
Yes.
Black women who went to West Point, and so I am just so impressed with that West Point journey from women. But when you add that other element, the minority to it, it
Yeah.
is impressive. So let me
Yeah.
just give you
Well,
your kudos
I
there.
appreciate that. I appreciate that. It was a lifetime ago. It feels like 16 years ago.
It's
But every
crazy.
time I put on that ring, it takes me back. And I think that if you have
If you
something
can go
like
through
that to
that,
hold on
child.
to,
Exactly.
I can do this.
Exactly. No, I really do love that. Yep, I really
Yeah.
do. And I'll have to find something like that I can um kind of revert back to as well when I'm in my more challenging things. So as our conversation draws to a close, though, I do want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the both of you for your invaluable insights and shared experiences. It's been truly inspiring to explore the transformative power of embracing change and vulnerability with each of you. But before we wrap up, I do want to invite each of you to share any final thoughts or reflections on today's discussion. Your perspectives have been enlightening, and I'm eager to hear any closing thoughts that you may have. So, Marcus, do you want to start?
Yeah, I would say, it all starts in the center is self-love. Um, and doing the work to get to, whatever that place is you need. We all are different. We all have different things that need to be fed. Um, but start with self because you spoke of cups early. You can't pour from an empty cup. It's impossible. So love on yourself, appropriate selfishness. It's okay.
Yep.
Everyone hears selfishness and gives it this negative stigma, but I think I love appropriate selfishness. I think
Me
you need
too.
it. Um, yeah, because in my opinion, being the best allows that light to shine, and you really to be, um, inspiration, motivation, encouragement to other people that to you.
Yeah.
That's contagious.
Yeah.
And it wears on you and you don't even know it. But it comes with preparation that you do on oneself. So, like, that's a good projection that, as you walk around, one of probably the best comments that I've ever received was standing in the post office. A lady was just in front of me about to go, and she just turned around and was just like, "Hey, it's something about you. It's like you're just giving off something that makes me feel good." And random stranger,
Wow. You
and
weren't wearing that 2000 Issey Miyake cologne.
no. It was one of those days.
Something about you. She was
Nah,
Hey,
macking.
that lady was
when I
she was about to risk it
nah
all, Marcus in the
nah,
post
it
office,
wasn't. It
child.
wasn't. It wasn't even
I'm
like
just
that.
playing.
It's
I know
just
exactly what she means.
especially
Yes.
once, like,
My
my
husband gets that all the
optimal
time, though,
self,
so I understand what you
my optimal self is out of the gym. When I
mean.
leave the gym, shower, get dressed, the energy I'm giving off, oh,
Yeah.
it's the wrecking with,
That's
because I feel good. I'm ready to put so much positivity in the world because my cup is on 110%. Who needs it? I'm ready to pour. Who needs it? And that's contagious. So I would say, hey, start internally,
Mhm.
and then outwardly it will work its way. You know, um, you spoke of it, Lauren, where stuff didn't just feel good to you. You were saying stuff and you didn't believe it. Well, when you're feeding that soul and core, you'll recognize when this ain't right. Um, so that's what I would encourage everyone do. Love on oneself, and it's easier to love on others after that.
I love that. Thank you so much, Marcus.
I would say that vulnerability is a gift you give yourself and others. You start off with yourself, and it allows you to kind of do a self assessment and hopefully grow in the direction that you want to grow to get to where you want to be and become the person that you want to become. But also, vulnerability is really a gift to other people as well, because when you're vulnerable, you give them permission to be vulnerable. And I feel like in our society, especially today, where we're doing a lot of social media highlight reel, people don't feel like they can be vulnerable.
Yes.
And everybody's going through something and everybody's having a struggle and people are failing and they feel like they can't say anything about it because we're just doing highlight reel. So I think when you're vulnerable about where you're struggling, where you're trying to push through, how you're trying to aspire to be more, that gives other people permission to do the same thing. And I think that you really can have genuine connection with people when you do that. So I think it's a gift that keeps giving, and you definitely should embrace it and not shy away from it.
That's perfect. I love how you described it as highlight reel because it is the absolute truth. And I talk
Mhm.
about that all the time on here is that people only show on social media the good stuff.
Right.
I mean, that's it. But that's not the reality. So I love that. Be vulnerable so that others too can feel comfortable in being vulnerable with you. Thank you
Right.
for that. Thank you, Lauren and Marcus. And thanks
Welcome.
for our listeners for joining us on this journey of exploration and growth. Remember, change may be inevitable, but with the right mindset and support, we can navigate life's twists and turns with grace and resilience. Until next time, stay inspired, stay resilient, and keep embracing the journey of personal evolution. Bye bye.